The 2001 World Games featured 26 competition sports and 5 more demonstration sports. 2,500 of the world's best athletes in 169 medal events competing over 10 days at 24 venues in the Akita prefecture in northeastern Japan. Now, they've got 3 aims. First, to perform at their absolute best. Secondly, to prove that their sports, unusual as some of them are, can capture the imagination of the world. And thirdly, that they're worthy of taking part in the Olympic Games in the near future. Among the sports in Akita is parachuting, or skydiving as it's known when performed as a competitive sport. 68 world and national champions have entered the freestyle skydiving, formation skydiving and accuracy landing events. These are top-class athletes looking for experiences above and beyond normal international competition. Anushka Fiedler, the German freestyle champion. She says the opening ceremony was incredibly moving. She had goosebumps when the music started and the people applauded. It was always a dream of hers to participate in an Olympic-style event. The World Games are the first step in this direction. And thanks to the enthusiasm of the crowds in Akita, she found the whole experience even more gratifying. And she certainly hopes to be part of the next World Games as well. 15,000 crammed into the Yabase Stadium and millions more watched the live TV coverage all over Japan. Tsutomu Kono, who had previously produced the opening ceremony of the Nagano Winter Olympics, directed the parades, local folklore and symbolism. And to the delight of the president of the International World Games Association, an exhibition parachute jump was built into the opening ceremony.
The opening ceremony with the parachuting was without a doubt a highlight.
Then formation skydiving teams from 6 nations put on an impromptu aerial exhibition that had the crowds on their feet. Perfectly timed, trailing red and white streamers, the skydivers landed to huge cheers.
And I think to come out of the stadium 2 hours after the opening ceremony and find that the newspapers have already printed the parachutists double page in color as a handout was for me already the start of something big.
And throughout the Games, a high priority was to kindle public interest and, of course, media interest. Yoko Okazaki reckons it's vital to show as many people as possible just what skydivers are capable of doing in the air. The public can't go up in the air with the athletes and for the most part can barely see them. Showing the public these performances on a giant screen and on TV is only possible in major events such as the World Games. Thanks to the TV coverage, the Japanese public were hooked. During the 3 days of competition, 28,000 spectators made it out to Ogatamura, a rural village some 60 kilometers from Akita. That made skydiving the most popular sport of the Games by some margin, and with a crowd, skydiving athletes really are quite extrovert.
A lot more people watching, much more spectators watching what we're doing here. Usually when we at our competition, it's either international, maybe even, is for us of course the highest, but it's still only people that have to do with air sports usually that watch what we're doing.
With a competition like this, we've taken our sport from a local level to a global level, and it feels like we're preparing the ground. We've shown that we're athletes, we train hard, we give a good we give the public something they can understand. I see the public who came to watch our event, they were excited by it. They could understand the scoring, and I can see more and more public understanding what we do in a global level.
Marco Tiezzi expands. Not only the landings, they're easy for the public to appreciate. More important are the recorded or transmitted images that allow the crowds to watch the aerial performance in real time. Only when we provide that regularly will athletes be able to interact with their audience. But this interaction requires more than spectacular images on a screen. The human factor is just as important. The FAI went to great lengths to prepare complete biographies of every single athlete, all available online. The 3 skydiving events were described in depth using terms that even a layman could easily understand. Take formation skydiving, for example. Before any team goes up, it plans and rehearses the sequence of formations on terra firma and on wheels.
Yeah, it's it may look easy, the preparation that we do on the ground, but as far as actually remembering the skydive and the physical preparation that goes into each jump, is quite a complex procedure. Sometimes the skydives require us to remember maybe more than 12 different formations. So the mental aspect of it is very important, and the mechanics, the way that we structure the skydive, is extremely important to the end result. How we put together, how we structure the skydive, can make a big difference to the score in competition.
Free fall is at the cutting edge of technology and sport, video sport with a cameraman.
Basically, without a cameraman, the team doesn't score any points. So if I don't get the team in shots at the right time, the team doesn't score. So it's vitally important that I'm placed in exactly the right spot, and my cameras are working correctly, and that I get the timing on the exit critical, because that's a very vital point where the team can actually lose points. And teams have lost competitions because of 1 point lost by a video man.
Even the scary side of air sports has to be explained in order to understand the drama and complexity. This is what happens if the main parachute fails to open. You just cut away the main chute, open the reserve, and land safely. This freefall videographer is Italian. He's taking part in freestyle skydiving.
Io sono appunto il camera flyer.
Fabi is the camera flyer for Stefania Martinengo. They fly together and try to come up with the best possible choreography. His job consists of keeping her properly framed and focused at all times. In addition, he tries to enhance her performances by selecting creative camera angles. A cameraman's athletic and artistic challenges get tougher every year.
Well, the sport of freestyle skydiving, I think, has changed a lot in the last 5 years, because before, freestyle skydiving was filmed on one body position, basically on the belly flying body position. And nowadays we're able to go over and under and come around, so we can film different angles. So it's always good to try certain angles to see which angle will look best.
Skydiving produces some truly creative people, always looking for the best camera angles. Their efforts can be artistic or just downright funny. Take a look at Team Israel, Boaz Goran and his cameraman, Rani Gut. Others just want to be different, like Team Italy 2, Borghis and Tiezzi.
L'importante, secondo me, in queste discipline libere.
Tiezzi reckons it's important to put on a solid but testing performance in freestyle skydiving. But being creative is equally important. They need to put on spectacular and creative performances, a real aerial show. They came up with this routine where they simulate the exercise of a gymnast on the rings. Even though the public doesn't understand skydiving, they can relate to the gymnastics. They can see a routine that's similar to something they know, that's being done in another sport down on the ground. That helps the crowds to understand that doing things in the air is not all that difficult.
Far capire che fare delle cose in aria non è poi così difficile.
And the other sports of the Games can also be inspirational. Anushka reckons that all sports that she's seen here at the World Games, like trampoline and sports acrobatics, are just as exciting as hers. Skydiving often incorporates different elements of them. The moves extend over longer periods because skydivers virtually fly their own bodies. They move in the air like a fish in the water. While doing that, they get to see the whole world from high up and can transmit this thrill to the public. And there are lessons to be learned from other sports. In accuracy landing, an important rule change makes the competition more dramatic, with a match system pitting one athlete against another head-to-head. An accuracy landing jump starts on the ground. We have to prepare mentally. We work on our concentration. Some competitors have a training disc on the ground that they use to practice and improve their foot placement. Some try to clear their heads prior to a jump so that they don't concentrate for too long. For me, it's from 300 meters up that the jump really starts. I build up my concentration, I check the wind, I check that the direction hasn't changed. I focus more and more on nothing but the target. My field of vision narrows down to the essentials. You can still see the crowd. It was impressive here at this event. You hear it react to the opponent's landing. Sometimes you even see the scores. But once you're on the final approach, you focus on nothing but the circle. Then the mat. Then the disc, and finally the dead center. And that's the end of the jump.
Atmonauti, il navigatore dell'atmosfera. Los navigatore dell'atmosfera.
The Italians, Gigliola Borgnis from Domodossola and her cameraman Marco Tiezzi from Milan, are quite a couple. They've been in the sport for only 4 years and came in 4th at the 2001 World Championships. In the 28 seconds of working time that they're allotted, they pack in both high degrees of difficulty and artistic elements. Their imitation of a gymnast on the rings is awarded 8.1 marks out of 10 and clinches 3rd place. Not surprisingly, Yoko Okazaki came into the World Games as one of the favorites. She comes from Tokyo but spends most of her time training in the United States, where she makes 700 jumps per year. Thanks to a background in classical ballet, her freestyle is about as graceful as you can get. Axel Zoman, an Austrian by birth, met up with Yoko in the US. Once Axel obtained his Japanese sporting license earlier this year, they formed a team across the frontiers, a team with superb prospects. Scoring 8.2 on their final jump, they won silver for Japan. Stefania Martinengo and Filippo Fabi are the reigning world champions in women's freestyle. Their routine is a great example of how these moves are judged and scored. There are 4 criteria: technical difficulty, execution, artistic impression, and, absolutely unique in sport, camera work. All are marked on a scale from 0 to 10. The more difficult the moves and the better the filming, the higher the points awarded by the panel of 3 judges. These points then get averaged out to give a final score. In this case, 9.1, so that Team Italy wins the title at the 2001 World Games. Freestyle is the only skydiving event at Akita with 2 divisions and a separation of male and female competitors. While women tend to emphasize the artistic elements, the men excel in the athletic. Watching Team France, Nicolas Arnaud and his cameraman Stéphane Fardel, you can see why the two stars are so different. Both have their own merits. Nicolas won a silver medal at the 1997 World Games in Finland. Here he scores a very respectable 8.7. Omar Al-Helgelen and Greg Gasson, USA 2, are professional skydivers. Omar has 8,000 jumps to his credit, and Greg's not far from that mark either. Every time they jump, they accumulate approximately 1 minute of freefall time. Now add that up and you can work out that they've been spending more than 120 hours, that's 5 full days, doing what they enjoy most, controlling their bodies as they fall at 200 kilometers an hour and controlling their minds to stay cool, calm and collected. Even if the maths and the competitive pressures are enough for most of us, skydiving is just like any other sport. To get to the top, you just have to train. A score of 9.1 by USA 2 keeps Arnaud and Fardel at bay. This is Olaf Zipser. Over the past 10 years, he's often been credited as the father of freestyle skydiving, making it into the competitive event it is today. He's still one of the pioneers to explore free fall in attitudes that are anything but common. He's among the few to have some of these intricate moves named after himself. Recently, he joined up with the youngest of the FAI athletes at Akita, with Matt Nelson, who's only 20 years old. Together, they became world champions in July. They score 9 points, and now they're World Games champions as well. Time for a change of events, formation skydiving. Team France demonstrate not only the superb freefall skills of its members, but will also set a benchmark for this, the last round at Akita. In just 35 seconds of working time, they complete a sequence of 6 different formations as many times as possible before running out of time. Between some of these formations, complex transitions such as 360-degree turns by all 4 skydivers are required by the draw. On the right-hand side, the points they're awarded. The current world record, more than 30, was not in danger. The last formation, called an in-out, was not completed within the time limit. Scoring stopped at 20 points, 1 per formation. Norway's a skydiving nation of considerable tradition. They've won bronze medals in 4-way formation skydiving in 2 successive world championships, 1999 and 2001. The Norwegians are also one of the teams with a woman on the roster. Lisa Aune, living proof that this is not exclusively a man's game, even at the highest level of competition. Here, the judges do not mark the work of the videographer for creativity. They just want to know whether the camera misses one of the formations, fails to record it properly. Then the team doesn't get the corresponding point. The cameraman constantly adjusts his fall rate to ensure the proper framing of the action. His wide-angle lens compensates for any glitches. With a narrow lead going into this last round, matching France would give Aune's team the upper hand. 20 points, guaranteed at least a silver medal.
Kanpai. Kanpai.
Kanpai? Well, that's cheers in Japanese. Even if the USA's lead after 6 rounds is by no means comfortable, the team is battle-hardened when it comes to tight finishes. The last time was only months prior to Akita, when the USA faced the same two opponents in the finals of the World Championships. Being last to jump, you know what the others have done, and that gives you control. But concentration is as vital as physical stamina in the closing stages. The USA needs to be aggressive to outscore Norway and France on what is a difficult sequence. They go on to complete the in-out within the 35 seconds. 21 points scored and gold for the USA. And once again, they delight the crowd with their trademark swoop landing. When it comes to the accuracy, an entirely different landing style is used by the athletes. The last and decisive round matches the four best against each other in 2 medal finals, with only 3 medals up for grabs. For the bronze, it's Hongyang Zhen against Ning Wei, both from China. Zhen's already on her final approach to the target, an electronic measuring device with a center just 3 centimeters across. And she's just slightly off by just 1 centimeter. In accuracy, athletes jump from lower altitudes than those in freestyle or formation, but their sporting performance begins where the others end, at the moment the parachute opens. Ning Wei on the final approach, the 24-year-old sports student from Beijing, is concentrating. Again, 1 centimeter off, but Ning Wei wins the bronze thanks to a better aggregate than Hongyang in the earlier rounds. Next to exit the Chinook helicopter are the 2 contenders for the gold medal, Jiang Wang of China and Marco Pflüger of Germany. This really is sudden death, with the 2 athletes going head-to-head. Terrific drama right to the end. Only if they tie here would the aggregate of previous rounds count. 2 centimeters for Jiang Ming. This is Marco Pflüger on his trajectory to the dead center. While there are obvious similarities to shooting in terms of aim and concentration, here it's the athletes themselves that are heading for the middle of the target. Pflüger at 1 centimeter, that does it. Marco Pflüger is the World Games champion in accuracy landing. Jiang Ming second, Ning Wei third. Skydiving's athletes came to Akita with high expectations. They were determined to showcase their sport to the world. They leave with great memories and even higher ambitions. Yoko reckons that if competitors get the chance to compete or demonstrate show skydiving at the Olympic Games, people everywhere will suddenly discover that sports in the air are also available to them. We'd be thrilled to be the ones to show that it's possible, she says, that it's not that difficult. Fabi agrees there are already sports involving running and swimming at the Olympic Games, but no sport that involves flying. He hopes that in 2008 in Beijing, there'll be air at the Olympics.
All the people in the world, they deserve to have the opportunity to see of what is actually possible to do in the air.
Every parachutist dreams of seeing his or her sport at the highest level of competition.
2008, Beijing will be the competition that skydiving will show the world that we have a lot to offer.
Olympic Games, I would like to be there, and I will.
Down Beijing
Ning Wei remembers that when she heard that Beijing was selected to host the 2008 Olympic Games, she was so happy. She went to Tiananmen Square and cheered. Then she thought, if parachuting were an official event at those Olympics, another dream would come true. Not just mine, the dream of every parachutist in the world. And of course, dreams can come true, as long as there are high ambitions.